anyways, happy Canada Day, and for your information, on July 28th, that's our National Tlingit Day, and we're having a big celebration in Teslin on that day as well. So we celebrate our Tlingit heritage and our Canadian heritage. And I would like to, and there must be some people who have became Canadians today, and congratulations on that. Yes, you're one? The only time I really feel Canadian is when I travel. That's when I feel Canadian. Or when else? During the Olympics, that's when I feel Canadian too. Although I'm also part Norwegian, so I always cheer for the Norwegian team too. So I'm going to tell a story that my grandma Carrie taught me, and was one of the last stories she told me in her life, Carrie from Teslin, and it was about a little boy. There was once a little boy. He was a very lucky boy. We say that when their grandmother raised. His grandma had him at different camps all the time. A long time ago, our people used to travel to fish camp to get salmon later this month. And then we'd travel and go to a brush camp. It's called brush camp because you put your brush down, and then you put your fresh moose kill or your caribou meat down on that to keep the meat nice and clean. That's the camp they were at. And the people were eating moose for days. A moose is big, it feed lots of people. They were eating the moose ribs, the moose guts, the moose nose, everything, until there was nothing left but the last little bit, the favorite part of the moose. Do you know what it is? Kind of hard to hear you. The bum guts? Now those were eaten already by the elders. I never get any. By the way, on that, what we call bum guts or intestines, there's a part of it that if you cut it opens up like a book. That part is called the Bible. I asked my Uncle Wilfred Charlie, I said, how come you call it that? He goes, well, that's the only book we knew. That's the first book we saw. So that's why it's called the Bible. So next time you eat moose guts, you know why. No, that moose guts was gone. Any other guesses? The last favorite part? The tongue. Oh yeah, that one's gone already too. That goes in a very nice soup. The nose. That's a really good part too, but you got to clean it out good. Any other guesses? Oh, huh? The Bible? Yes, that's a really good part. That was eaten too. I heard somebody else say the heart. The elders get that. I can't wait to become an elder to get all those pieces. So as big as a moose is, you can hard believe that there's hardly any fat on a moose. Did you know that? Very lean. So how much a grandma loved her grandchild, she gave him the last piece of moose fat. They were sitting by the campfire late at night. And just then a little mouse went running by. Zing! And that little boy pointed at that mouse and said, ha ha, you're ugly, you got a long nose, long whiskers, you're ugly, na na na, poop poop. And the grandma said, shh, don't say anything, don't laugh at anything. And the little boy said, Pretty soon it was time to go to bed. So everybody went into their tents and it was all quiet. And that little boy, he saved that moose fat. And he took it, he went and he put it on the brush. That brush was the tree branches. And he sat there and he waited. Boy, everybody knows that mouse loves moose fat. So that little mouse went up and he got the moose fat. Oh boy, he started to eat it. Ooh, it's so good. Just then that little boy grabbed him. Ha ha, I got you now, you're ugly, you got long nose and long whiskers, what you gonna do, kill me, ha ha ha. I'm gonna singe your whiskers off. Singe means burn. So that little boy took that mouse to the campfire, burned up one side, singed off the other side, and that little mouse was so scared, he said, help, let me go, and he bit the little boy, and that little mouse fell. And he started to walk around in the bush. Now, do you know what they use their whiskers for? There were some smart people over here. Not so smart now, eh? What do they use their whiskers for? Do you know, little boy? No? I'm gonna wait till I get an answer. Yes, awesome, to feel it, to find their way. They could measure how much room they have. So that little mouse no longer had his whiskers, so he was going through the bush and he couldn't find his way anymore, and he walked into a tree, walked into a rock. Hey, those are little boy sounds. And he couldn't find his way and he was scared. It's a scary thing not to know where you're going in your own home. And he went up to a lake and he looked in. He says, oh, my beautiful whiskers are gone. Ooh. So then he started to go a long ways and he was crying. Besides, it hurts to get your whiskers singed off. And he went long ways, and long ways away there was the great mouse mother. The great mouse mother's job is to look after all the mice of the world. So she could hear this little brother mouse crying. Finally he came long ways to see her. And she said, oh, what's the matter, my son? Oh, Yukon. So she waited till he stopped crying, rubbed his tears off, and soothed where his whiskers were. And he told the story about that human village. And she said, listen, we will make them pay. I'm going to call all the mice of the world. So that's what she did. She sang a song for 4 days and 4 nights. Yeah. Hey, I should be like the queen and weight down my dress, eh? So the song she sang for 4 days and 4 nights was like this. Hatya akutin, hatya akutin, hatya akutin, hatya akutin, which means come here, all you mice. So all the mice of the world started to gather in front of the great mouse mother. There was big giant mice from New York City. There was little Saskatchewan field mice. There was mice from, I won't say which hotel in Whitehorse, but those ones came too. All the mice of the world gathered, and they waited until the great mouse mother spoke. She said, look at our little brother mouse. Look what they did to him. We will make them pay. You big mice, get a big tree, the kind that's hollowed out, and we're gonna put those small mice in there. So that's what they did. And they started moving towards that human village. But that little brother mouse said, don't bother the grandma. She's the one who told him not to bother me. So they started moving towards the village. It was early in the morning. They say that tree moved so fast it was like looked like a boat. So the people were just waking up. Who's that in the boat? Who's that coming? And you know, when there's millions of mice moving, it looks like water. So then people said, why is the water over there? The water's supposed to be over there. And just then that big tree and all the millions of mice came to the middle of the village and they cracked open that tree. It sounded like breaking bones. And all those mice started running around the village. They ran over the brush, they ran over the meat drying, they ran over people's moccasins, they started to run over all the tent frames, they ran through all their cooking pots, and people were like, what's going on? And some people tried to get big sticks and they tried to kill them, but it was no good. There was too many of them. And then those mice started to run down people's shirts, up their pants, into their moccasins, and people were like screaming, that little boy went screaming to his grandma, help me, help me. But it was no good, there's too many. And then they started to go into people's ears, they went into their eyes, up their throats, and other body parts, I won't say, and they all died. Except for that old grandma who had told anyone who would listen, I respect all living things, even one little mouse. And that's the story.